Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now May 23rd of 2025, and given that the Meghan Markle drama is still at play right now, we know that there's a lot of things going on, not just behind the scenes over at Netflix, but also in the public eye for With Love Meghan Season 2. There's been a lot of setbacks, a lot of drama happening for the next season, which in reality, it's not a Season 2. It is nothing more than Season 1 Part 2. Let's be very real about this. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Meghan Markle is that we know that she is in a position now where the walls are closing in. She is trapped in a corner. She's finding less and less options within Hollywood, within the film industry, with major Hollywood studios really just not considering her any further. We know that those that have been previously working with her, even they actually gave her the boot and said, yeah, no, we don't trust you anymore. Now, looking at Netflix, we know that With Love Meghan Season 2, quote-unquote, is a disaster. It is set to be a bigger ratings disaster than the previous season, or as I like to call, as Part 1, because of several reasons. Not only is she making it political, but she's also dragging in a lot of other agendas, such as gender politics, into the equation and other aspects that really can't, quite frankly, be reversed at this stage, because it would take way too many reshoots to fully flip the thing upside down. But this is where it gets worse, as Netflix already took action against Meghan Markle after learning more and more about how phony, fake, and inauthentic she truly is, and how destructive she really is against Netflix and difficult to work with. Now, of course, with the Meghan Markle drama only getting worse behind the scenes with Netflix after many board members started to turn on her, specifically the ones that once actually supported her through and through, one major development going on now involves more to do with Meghan Markle's behavior after she got punished in the best way possible by Netflix in the midst of the setbacks for With Love Meghan Season 2. Now, it turns out that Netflix recently took action against Meghan Markle after yet another test screening failed for Season 2 of their show. It turns out that the screening was so abysmal that Netflix CEO Greg Peters finally convinced nearly all of the board members to agree to strip Meghan Markle from holding any form of creative power / control over the series for all episodes moving onwards. In addition to that, the Netflix board and Greg Peters universally agreed with each other to also cancel Meghan's plans to use that BACKFIRE footage when she visited there as an introduction for the series, something that Netflix was preparing to do in order to support Markle. All bets are now off, and Netflix actually took action against that too, where they gave her a serious warning to, of course, Markle, that her show is more than likely to be a ratings failure and that no form of the BACKFIRE footage will be used for the series at this time. To make matters worse for Meghan is that Netflix also decided to delete the entire ending of With Love Meghan Season 2 for Episode 8. The screeners that took part in the test screening labeled the ending as the worst moment in the show, that held some of the worst acting and cameos that they have ever seen by Meghan Markle, period. Netflix decided to make a swift move by deleting all of the footage of the ending of With Love Meghan Season 2, and that it's going to be quickly reshot as fast as possible, essentially. Markle reportedly went on multiple temper tantrums internally at Netflix after she learned about these sudden changes as a form of punishment towards her, since more and more board members have realized just how destructive she really is, and how destructive Meghan really is to the company. They also decided to slash even more funds for the reshoots that dropped by another $7 million in budgeting cuts. This is said to be a major blow for reshoot plans, and it is going to actually hinder the process by not allowing as many scenes to either be reshot or filmed originally. Now guys, before I move on, let me just say one thing about this. This is massive. This is a huge cut for With Love Meghan Season 2. Not just the budgeting issues and how they are slashing funds, but they're deleting scenes, they deleted the entire ending of the show, and I would not be too shocked if Episode 8 is going to be by far the shortest episode of them all for Part 2 of Season 1. So look, we know one thing about all of this, is that the board, they're finally beginning to wake up and realize, yeah, maybe we made a mistake here by allowing Meghan Markle to even go on calling this a season 2 and dividing it up into 2 parts. They could have got this all done and over with back in March, right? They could have bundled all 16 episodes into one and just dropped it right away, right then and there, but they decided to split this thing up into 2. It's only creating more issues for Netflix, and it's also dragging down Greg Peters, the board, the many executives and producers that are working on this thing, that are desperately trying to go into damage control of the series. Now look, we know that Meghan Markle's got quite the ego. She's very self-absorbed and narcissistic. She's not taking this well at all. In fact, she's really taking this to another level of offense, right? She's really getting very offended over the fact that Netflix is actually making all these changes, and rapidly so, by the way. They're doing this as quickly as possible. Because look, when you really think about it, they got like, what, a little over 3 months, maybe even less than that, before this thing drops on Netflix. So Meghan, alright, and her team are said to be very much in a frantic state right now after learning about Netflix making all these decisions. There even have been conversations between Peters and the board on canceling season 2 and biting the bullet. However, the board ultimately disagreed to do that. The series is still a go, however. Meghan's entire vision is falling apart rapidly, especially after losing creative power for the next season. Now, Netflix, get this, is even starting to push for the idea of rebranding the show as With Love Meghan Part 2 instead of Season 2. And you know what? I said this for the longest time. Netflix should have done that also right from the get-go. You don't call anything a Season 2 unless it actually gets renewed, unless it actually gets picked up again, and, well, that's basically quite the opposite of what happened. All they did was they shot all the scenes simultaneously, they split it up and called it a Season 2. That is not actually what it's called, it's a Part 2. But they want to call it what it is, and now Netflix is beginning to rethink their overall strategy. And you know what? I think that at least, at the very minimum, they're finally beginning to realize that they made a major mistake here. So it was Meghan's idea to call it Season 2 to create a facade that was picked up, of course, and renewed as a series which was so far from the truth. And that is one thing that I think everyone needs to know, is that when she had a lot of creative power over the show, which was diminishing over time, and now it's basically non-existent, she is the one that actually pushed Netflix to call it Season 2 instead of Season 1 Part 2, right? Or, you know, what it was supposed to be, just With Love Meghan Part 2. That's it. So again, I mean, this is a very interesting turn of events. The fact that, yeah, given that we're just, you know, a week, 2 weeks, I would say, from reshoots really kickstarting in the process here for Netflix to really kind of get things rolling, they really have to make a lot of changes fast, and that's what they're doing right now, right? It's crunch time for Netflix, essentially, and they're really putting their foot on the gas pedal. They want to get this thing done as fast as possible. They want to spend as little as possible at this point, and they just want to give Meghan Markle the boot come this September, and just say, alright, you're now in the rearview mirror, see you later. That's what they want to do. So again, I think that this is a very, interesting turn of events for Netflix. They're finally making baby steps to correcting themselves. I don't think it's going to create a major turnaround per se. They're still putting this abysmal series out on Netflix. That's still very much a major mistake on their part. But whatever have you, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about this below in the comments. Everything ranging from the Meghan Markle situation to Netflix CEO Greg Peters. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And I will catch you guys later.